Hello. This is Nick, host of the Straight Sports Podcast. We're talking XFL today. I don't know how we feel about it, but I'm here with Connor and Luke Yost, and that makes it sound like that's both your last names. They are not married, but
nor related
in any way.
Not at all.
Nor is Yost related to Ned Yost, former manager of several MLB teams. But we were all together and we said, hey, let's talk about the XFL. And I was originally just going to talk with Connor, but Luke Yost said, I want to talk about the XFL. So, Luke, you're here.
Yeah.
Making your return to Stranded in a sports capacity, which is very
Yeah,
odd.
it's new. I'm not sure how
perhaps one of the most hated co-hosts of the Stranded Sports Podcast.
Controversial.
Very controversial. The Brandon Whedon argument that we had still rages on.
What was the Brandon Whedon argument?
You're talking about a quarterback that played baseball, I think, that got drafted really late and was like 30 years old when he got to the NFL. And I said that's Brandon Whedon, and you denied it.
Well, there was a guy from Florida State, too. I can't remember his name.
Okay, moving on.
It doesn't matter.
Moving on. It doesn't matter. The past is the past. But the future is the XFL. How about that one?
Good spin.
How about that one? We watched the XFL. I think I watched the most, so I'll probably talk the most. But, Luke, you said you liked the XFL, so why don't we jump right into your thoughts on it?
My immediate thoughts were this. The only question mark for me was, what's the level of play on the field going to be like, right? I think that's everybody's question. Like, I looked at the rule changes. I looked at the kickoffs, and I was like, this is going to be cool because if you can find a hole, you're slipping for a touchdown. Like, if you can find a hole to a wall of people, you're gone. And, looking at the lines, the betting lines before the game, everybody was at like 50 or better.
Yeah,
Vegas had a great day.
Every game went under.
Every game except for
I
one.
think
maybe
the
went
Roughnecks Wildcats did.
Nuts.
Yeah.
But listen,
Yeah,
Vegas made
that
a
would be
lot of
sense.
money because the XFL said this is going to be high scoring, the whole buildup.
But it wasn't that it wasn't high scoring, but like with the exception of the St. Louis
Renegades
game where it was 15-9. That was at best.
I thought that was a good game. I liked the defensive effort. I didn't see the whole game, but I thought it was. I watched the highlights, but I was also kind of worried about the competitiveness, I guess, for lack of a better term, especially because the original XFL, the play was so god awful. But the AAF I thought was kind of sloppy, but I didn't think it was awful. But there were obviously moments like the missed 35-yard field goal, but I mean that shit happens in the NFL. But then I saw Aaron Murray play, and I said, oh, yep, this is where the talent gap shows. Because Aaron Murray threads the needle on like a 3rd and 15, and then just he-haws one to the end zone for no reason.
Triple coverage,
on the
back
very
corner.
next play in the back corner, and it's a little lollipop throw and it gets picked off. His second interception was also bad. 45 rating for Aaron Murray. Almost called him Matt Murray. That's not good.
No.
He went 16-34 for a 47% in terms of completion. Had 231 yards, which was more than Matt McGloin, who everyone's acting like played his ass off. Which he did. He
led a great team.
He did pretty well. I think the Guardians are a team to beat, and obviously that's 1 week, but that's not hard judgment. Before we get into the meat of this video, we're going to go and talk about every result that transpired over the weekend, starting with the order of the games. And the first game was the DC Defenders taking down the Seattle Dragons 31-19. I think that was the best game of the weekend.
It was a really good game.
That was a really good game. Great job by whoever made the schedule to set that game up first. That was a great game. I thought that game was fun the whole way throughout.
It probably had it had the better atmosphere, I think. Too.
And that was, if you check SharedSports.com, you can see my opinions heading into the XFL, all my thoughts. One of the things I addressed was stadium size. Because you go, I think it was Audi Stadium it's called. It's where the DC United plays.
Yeah.
That has a 30,000 capacity. Or that might be one. That might have the one that's under 25,000 or whatever. But regardless.
I think it is under 25,000.
It's low.
I think it's the one. I think one of them's under. Regardless, I mentioned it on the article, so you can read that. In the atmosphere of that game, they announced 17,000 people, and it was loud. And you think 17,000? That's more than your average, NHL and NBA games are going to probably get, unless it's a marquee matchup. So it's a good crowd, and it sounded loud. It was a great atmosphere. And then you turn on the Guardians-Vipers game, which I don't remember an attendance figure for that one. And they're playing at MetLife Stadium, where the Giants and Jets play, and WrestleMania's there sometimes. And I don't know what they had. Say they had 15,000 to 20,000. That place looks empty, though, and it's the perception that, people don't care about your product when you turn that on the television. So I think it kind of was a snafu on their end to not go to smaller stadiums. I kind of crapped on the markets in another article I wrote, but I mean, they're big cities, so there's a lot of people to show up. But my concern mostly lies in these stadiums are huge, and right now you need to set the perception that your product's really good. And I think DC was the only place that really did that well. I'm excited to see what St. Louis does here. I'm very excited to see that. Globe Life Park for the Renegades was awesome. I thought it looked really cool, the old baseball stadium.
Yeah.
But it looked empty.
And that's the tough thing about it, Nick. I think you have a team, like, it's the first week, and, you know, in theory, is the goal to sell out MetLife Stadium every week? Yes. Right? The New York would love it. They're getting money. The XFL would love it because they have, 30,000. Actually, what is it? It's more like probably like 60,000 in MetLife. Right? It's probably huge.
It's big.
It's a lot of it's a lot of bodies, right? And if you can sell that out, I think. Was I surprised about the attendance figures? No. When I saw that the Guardians are playing at MetLife, I was like, oh, that's going to look like garbage on TV, because even if you do fill the lower bowl of MetLife, that's not that many people in theory. Yeah. There's like the two levels.
Compared to what they can hold, yeah.
Yeah. Do I think, MLS soccer stadiums are the best way to go? Yeah, but let's look at Seattle, the Dragons. They're playing in CenturyLink, right? Are they playing?
I think so.
That's also where the Sounders play too. That's where the MLS team in Seattle plays. So if you're a team like New York or Seattle or I believe St. Louis as well, where you don't have an actual like small soccer venue to play in, it's gonna look bad on TV until it catches on, or if it doesn't catch on, it's gonna be like, okay, like this is the first thing you point to of the new XFL. Also, by the way, the XFL in the 2 days of coverage never referred to the old XFL.
They kind of joked about it. They're like, the first touchdown in the new version.
Yeah. They were like, it's the new version. There was never like
and I think that's good, because the old version was crap.
It was like they just tried to distance themselves as far as they could.
Yeah.
Well, the old version was like, hey, it's the WWE, and we made a football
It was
league.
the extreme football league.
And the Rock's cutting promos, and Jim Ross is there. And
Jim Ross and Jesse Ventura are the
It was almost more for professional wrestling than it was for the football.
Right.
If you think about it.
I mean, WWF was hot at that time.
It was a spectacle.
It was, yeah.
But Darren Rovell reported the XFL in 1 week outsold the tickets that the AAF did, which is good. TV numbers, I think they posted a 3-3 Saturday. Not sure what else they did on Sunday, but that's good. I think that beat a couple bowl games and some NBA matchups that they had on in primetime ABC. So everything's positive, but you have to remember the AAF had really good numbers out of the gate too. But I think what the difference is, the XFL has a better product, and I think it's being marketed much better. You look at even the small things like sponsorships. They have progressives plastered on the field. The AAF, I don't recall, had really big sponsors. I know they had them on the jerseys and stuff. But right out of the gate to have, a national brand like Progressive. You have ESPN. You have, you're not on Bleacher Report Live. You're not on CBS Sports Network. You're on ESPN, ABC, Fox.
Yeah.
They're getting the exposure that they need.
And right. You're not on B-list channels. You're on A-list channels. And that falls under the perspective umbrella. Bad time to have a stroke. Lukios, go.
I lost my train of thought.
Of course.
Your rant went too long.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say something, but I didn't. And I forget what it was.
I think we just started.
Oh, I found it. Okay,
there you go.
You talk about the AAF, right? In the AAF, the problem with the AAF is they were just basically the NFL with the guys who didn't make the NFL, right?
Yeah.
There was no rule changes. Nothing happened. So, like, the things that...
I think they had a couple rule changes, but I think the XFL is more significant.
Nothing too major.
Like, the XFL, like, the fact that you have to change your whole philosophy on, like, you can't... If your kick falls within 20 yard, like, before the 20-yard line, that's an automatic at the 35 of the team.
It's right? At the 45.
Or 45.
The other side
of the field. Yeah, it's things like that that are gimmicky enough to, like, attract a football fan because, like, they want something new. But it's not, like, outrageous to think, like, that's not a bad idea. And the fact that, a touchdown is now what would be a two-possession game is now chopped down to a one-possession game.
Exactly. And now I'm going to go through all the scores like I promised, and then we went on a side tangent. DC defeated the Seattle Dragons 31-19. Silvers went 21-40. Cardale Jones still undefeated as a starter, went 16-26. And we go to
Eli Rogers, 6 catches for 73 yards, baby.
Thank you. The LA Wildcats fell to the Houston Roughnecks 37-17. Knopf went 21 for 40. I didn't know their first name, sorry. Walker went 23 for 39. I'm looking for other notable names there. Don't see any off the top of my head. Also, a cool thing in the next game, which was the Tampa Bay Vipers and New York Guardians. Guardians won 23-3. Matt McGloin was there. Aaron Murray was there. That was cool to see them back on the field, even though Aaron Murray just perfectly encapsulated the talent gap. Tim Cook was the name of the Guardians running back, like CEO of Apple, Tim Cook. I thought that was hysterical. I believe Horn, Joe Horn, is that the Rams receiver? That was really famous. I think so. Yeah, he's on that team, so that's pretty cool. I'm rambling now. 15-9, St. Louis Battlehawks beat the Dallas Renegades. I thought that game was pretty good. It's low scoring, so it came off as boring, and I thought at points it was, but I still thought it was a pretty good game overall. Let's jump to next week now, week 2. On Saturday at 2 o'clock, the Guardians will play the Defenders. The Vipers will play the Dragons at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday's slate sees the Renegades taking on the Wildcats, and the night slot has the Battlehawks playing the Roughnecks. I'm excited to see Landry Jones.
Yeah.
I never thought I would say that, but I'm excited to see what Landry Jones does. They said, and he said, he's going to play this week, I guess, or try to at least. So I'm excited to see him because I think Dallas, obviously the defense is good because the Battlehawks, I think, have a pretty solid offense, at least on paper. So I'm excited to see that. Now we can get into what we liked and what we didn't like. Connor, I know you didn't watch much.
Not too much. I did watch the first game.
Duke played North Carolina. Can you blame him?
Duke played North Carolina. Michigan State was playing Michigan. It's college basketball day. But I did catch some of the first game. I must admit that. I really like the rule changes. Surprisingly, like Luke said, it's very gimmicky, but that's what's going to work in this type of league, and I think that's what type of football fans are going to want to go look for. I like the kickoff rule. I think a lot of high schools maybe could adapt that. You know, it's a lot safer. I like the replay rules. You know, seeing inside
seeing them up there and talk through it is awesome.
Phenomenal. Whether or not the NFL will never, ever adapt that kind of, rules, things like that. But overall, good product.
Luke.
I like the TV aspect of it. I like the visuals that they brought. And I also like the ability of the sideline reporter to just talk to whoever the hell they want.
I like that
after,
whenever they want.
Yeah,
I like
right
it
after a missed field goal.
It's fun when the guy misses a 35-yard field goal and everybody on their couch is going, I could hit that. And in theory, no shot, right? And they're like, hey, what happened? He goes, she's got to be better the next time. And then he goes out and it's a 53-yard. It looks like a duck, but it was a 53-yard field goal. And then they interviewed one guy who cussed up a storm, and ESPN was like, "Oh, fuck it, just end the broadcast here."
Yeah.
But I like the ability of these people to kind of it brings personality to the game.
I like the locker room stuff they do at halftime and like before the game. Some people thought that was kind of cheesy, and I don't remember what I saw, but I know some people thought it was cheesy. I was trying to think of something more specific, but it escaped my mind. But I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I also like the play calling with the coaches sometimes. But I'm not sure how that works.
I like them covering up their
somebody's not stealing your signs.
That's
here. I don't
one.
understand.
And number 2 is I like seeing after the touchdowns, you can actually hear the coach saying, talking to the guys on the sideline. I thought that was really interesting.
I thought the best part of week 1 was the Defenders had that turnover, or they got I think it was an interception. They ran to the end zone, and the reporter was just standing in front of them holding her microphone out. And I think that's where it goes too far. I think that'll get tweaked as the season goes on because it is obviously entertaining, but it's also extremely awkward at points. And I think that needs to be tweaked. And obviously, if you're a coach and something happens and a reporter runs up to you and says, hey, your quarterback's 1 for 8 today. What's going on with him? And what do you expect him to say? And do you expect him to give you something, national TV appropriate? Or you expect him to cuss out, you and your family?
That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, we haven't seen a major injury in the XFL yet. Just a couple bumps and bruises.
I thought someone tore their ACL.
Was that the thing that happened?
I thought someone tore their ACL.
But I've yet to see anything where it's like somebody does tear an ACL and then they're falling off the field with a microphone. Like you can't do that.
Well, they interviewed injured people a couple of times.
But I think there's a point where the XFL is gonna have to limit somebody to okay, this is what you can and can't do. Because if you're a PR rep for a team, you don't want your guy going out there and saying we fucking gotta get our shit together.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's not okay. It is okay on Stranded Sports, obviously, with Nick Hedrick being in charge.
They're 15 minutes in. Hopefully, we're starting to plug our shit.
But yeah, I don't foresee there being a complete lack of control over these sideline reporters.
I think the best thing was Pat McAfee was the only sideline reporter people didn't seem to be bothered by.
Because Pat actually adds to the game.
I know he's has probably better insight than a lot of those people, but I thought it was funny because he probably comes off as I don't know how I'd say he comes off, very gimmicky, but still everyone seems excited to talk to him.
He brings the energy enough for the XFL.
This is personality.
And Marquette King, who I thought his name was pronounced Marquette King punts the ball.
That was a beautiful punt.
Right at the wall.
And as a Seattle Battlehawks fan, that pisses me off.
St. Louis
Battlehawks, excuse me. I know the Battlehawks, I forget what city they're in, but it's the St. Louis team. Fucking pissed me off. I was going to shoot that dude if I saw him.
I loved him getting so mad about it. I like that they're mic'd up too, along with
a lot of the players are, and I also like the play clock. I don't think that's something that people talk about enough.
Good.
The 25 seconds and would it work if the quarterback was going with the microphone their headset on? No shot. But now that every skill player has a headset on, you could theoretically run, the K-gun offense from Buffalo in 7 seconds and just move the ball on the field like nobody else's business.
Wow. Beautiful.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
I was gathering my thoughts, and I just heard the tail end of that. I think Luke hit most of what I was going to talk about. I think I like the extra point system.
Yeah.
Some of these teams need to grow up here and go for 3, give the fans what they want to see. But I thought that was a really cool addition. I never liked the extra point. I know it sounds stupid.
It's boring.
I don't think it's an exciting play.
Even the NFL tried, doing that whenever they moved it back.
Yeah, and I don't think it's an exciting play. But now you're oh man, they can make it a 3-possession game or a 2 or a 1-possession game, with the matter of these 3 points. So it's a really interesting idea, and I hope teams get a little more ballsy with it. I like the broadcasts. I know we talked about that, but the broadcasts are phenomenal. I thought it was very insightful. A lot of the camera shots, being a media guy, I like that. I thought those were really good. I thought it came off as a really clean product. Obviously, a couple snafus here and there. I like that they didn't have shitty camera angles at the sake of not recording that there were a lot of empty seats. They just went with it. I thought that was cool because sometimes the AAF would keep the camera really tilted low so you couldn't see above the first couple rows.
I would say as long as they consistently sell out, going back to MetLife, they sell out that bottom portion of MetLife or
the lower bowl.
Yeah,
at least
the lower
keep
bowl.
it 80% full, which I think was kind of the case yesterday.
They could probably just tarp the top of it.
Yeah, I
don't know why they did.
And that would look fine on. Is it going to be noticeable that you have a black tarp up there? Yeah, but at the same time,
television,
it looks better than just empty seats.
Oakland does it. In
Oakland
baseball,
does
the
Guardians
used
the best
to do it
football
at least.
team in New York.
Maybe. Hey, we don't know.
But
at the moment,
but you go back to the extra point thing, and people need to grow up here. You think about the people that are still coaching these teams are just guys who have been in and around football for the past 50 plus years.
Right.
Conventional wisdom tells you go for the immediate points, the easiest one to go for. And have we seen a game where it's close enough to where you can if it doesn't work, you can explain yourself in a
I guess
thoughtful manner that you went for 3 and it didn't pay off, and now you're here answering this question. Also, in the back of your mind, if I go for 3 here and I don't fucking get it, this real bitch ass report's gonna come to me. Why don't you go for 3? Fuck, get the fuck out of here. I want a coach to lose his shit on a report.
It's gonna happen. It's
I'm waiting for
it's bound
a Herm Edwards type explosion.
Once the games start meaning more, playoff race and stuff, we're gonna get some great television from this.
I'm waiting for 80 or 76-year-old Jerry Glanville to get the fuck out of my face. Just keep moving. By the way, Jerry Glanville 2 headsets yesterday. Amazing picture.
That was a wonderful visual. Final thoughts, anybody? Anybody have a final thought you want to issue on the XFL? And I'll ask also, will you watch next week?
Yes.
Wow. Luke Yost.
I'm in it. I'm invested.
Guy.
I blindly was we're gonna look at the logos of the teams, not the names, not the cities. Look at the logos, and I saw the sword with the wings, and I was like, oh, Battlehawks all day. That's how I picked them. I don't know who's on my roster except for King, the punter. That's it. Anybody else? I'm like, who's that guy? All right, shit, all right, him. Yep, that guy.
Connor, are you watching next week?
Depends.
Pick a team, bro.
My team's
Invest
Houston.
in a team. Houston, all
my
right.
team's Houston because Connor Cook is my man for Michigan State. But aside from that, Sammy Coates just
He'll have fun on the
drop
bench.
passes.
Sammy
he
Coates
will.
And Eli Rogers.
Yeah, he'll have fun on the bench too. But PJ Walker's doing pretty good.
Oh, he tore it up. MVP leader right now.
Will I be watching? I'll probably be watching that game. 6 o'clock on Sunday, definitely. Some of the other ones probably not on Saturday, especially because
college basketball.
College basketball.
Good,
whatever. That could be your thing.
Like, your bracket's going to work this year anyway. Nobody's a true number one.
It's fine.
Baylor will lose in the Sweet 16.
I'm watching next week.
Oh, before that,
I'm watching every week. That's all I really have to say. I'm all in on the XFL.
I like it.
Let's go Battlehawks, but I'm rooting for Cardale Jones, too, because he's a baller, and I love Cardale Jones. But I'm a Battlehawks fan at heart because those St. Louis fans got screwed over by greedy ownership, and they deserve a good football team.
Damn right, Nick.
Not sure what we're calling this. This has been our XFL reflection time. We hope you enjoyed. We had nothing planned out. We hope that wasn't obvious.
Can I put the name of it? It's the XFL reflection time?
Yeah. And, that's all we got. So we will see you maybe next week, maybe in 3 weeks, maybe when the league
Whenever
folds.
it shuts down in 4.
We're not sure. Vinnie Mac barely has it funded for 3 years, so maybe we'll see you for 3 more years. For Connor and Luke, this is Nick. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.